shoot, I remember calling my dad and saying, I don't know if this is for me. Like,
wow.
Like I can't win money. It's costing me so much. And he's like, well, you can always flip burgers. I mean, like everybody's like, how many do or die situations have you been in?
Yeah.
Like, none. And I've done it a long time, but like they put themselves in do or die situations. They make it almost an impossible feat for this guy to just kick your ass, because everything that I've been practicing for to go do it right here.
Yeah.
And if I don't, then I'll do it the next time, or because I didn't die.
So it sounds like you've had like a lot of trouble with planes, actually.
You rodeo long enough.
Have you like almost died in like multiple plane crashes?
I have.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to go down to the timed event into the arena. Trevor Brazile. This man has begged me to come on the podcast for 8 months now. And finally, I was like, okay, after 150 episodes, I'm going to let you come on. No, what's really happened is even as tall as my crown is on my cowboy hat, this man has high-hatted me for about a year. Actually, since 2020. And we finally got him on the podcast, and we get to hear the behind the scenes of Trevor Brazile's 26 world titles on this episode of the Rodeo Time podcast, brought to you by Ranch Fuel. Like to thank you guys. Crack a can, ranchfuel.com. Also like to thank Rodeo Time, the greatest apparel line known to man. We've got new styles that just dropped, so check them out on rodeotime.com. Hats, tees, hoodies, cowboy hats, all the things. If you don't wear it, you ain't no cowboy. Let's hear from Trevor.
That it's just kind of, it's attached to the table.
Yeah, sure it is.
So I hope you don't mind.
Yeah.
It's in every shot. We clip something and it's just awkwardly under his face the whole time. When my first kid was born.
Dale.
Cole's dad made that.
No way.
Do you want one of these?
Sure.
We've got blueberry, pomegranate, agave lime, orange cream.
I'll take the pomegranate. Or no, the orange cream's fine.
Yeah, they're all pretty good.
Sal, do you want one?
No, she can't have one.
She's too young.
She's too young.
Good, because he's got a lot of alcohol in him.
Because how long? How long?
I'm just kidding.
How long have I been knowing you? Because are we going? Because we were talking about it. She was young when you came up to the Skylofts with Tough.
Skyloft. Oh,
Came up to my room for something.
That was like 2014.
Yeah, I said about 10 years because she was young enough that you always had the vest on and the baggy pants, and she knew she was 100% certain at that time that you were on drugs, and she couldn't believe that we were hanging out with you.
I've never seen my dad hang out with a drug addict before.
Sorry, babe.
Yeah, 10 years. So I usually start with whatever you got going on, as in like, what's your hustle right now? I know Relentless is the apparel line.
Mm-hmm.
And is that
we just filmed a commercial for NFR, and that's the Relentless by Area collab that we're doing. So it's just a elevated Western collab that you can go from the arena to throw a piece of outerwear on and go to town like it's.
So it's something you get through Ariat?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then you personally work on the Relentless Remuda.
Yeah, secretary.
Mm-hmm. Miles is the one in charge.
Yeah, well, it's not really fair because I've been hurt. So
yeah,
the horses are better, but I don't get to take as much credit for it.
Time to Glow? Is that the stud?
It's one of them. We got Kilo, or the one we call Pride and Joy, and then Dark Side, the one we syndicated, and then the newest one's Time to Glow.
So what's the entry level involvement a customer can have with the Relentless Remuda?
It's pretty wide ranging from like, we just sold a head horse to a coach at UCLA that liked to part-time team rope, when he's not coaching football. And then you got guys that don't really rope or jackpot or anything that just want to, have something to go watch at the futurities, and they'll own a percentage of that or a share in Dark Side and watch him go and have, when we syndicated him, those shares are X amount of dollars and they've increased. And so some people have, sold their shares, traded their shares. I mean, just like.
Yeah. So is it more just like a finish type roping horse that you guys are dealing with, or is there also just like stud? Semen?
No. We have stand those 3 studs at Solo Select. We do we partner on most all the reproduction stuff with them at Wattsboro or Lake Kiowa, whatever. Lake Kiowa is where the reproduction stuff is. And so very, very few seasoned horses come out of there other than, our 4 to 6 year olds have seen, been hauled around, been exposed to the futurities. And it's so much better than like in the past. If you're a number 10 or number 9 and you have horses that you want to go season, you can't go at like any kind of entry level deal. You're going at an open roping, and it wasn't fair, really to the horse, the way you had to go about their first experiences at town. You try to do them right at home and then say, when I take you to town, you get your shorts jerked down because you're just having to go see things that you hadn't seen as far as going fast and show them plays that they haven't ran before, because they were just too young.
So, because you're still rodeoing.
I don't know. I'm just going to some futurities. I haven't rodeoed. Well, I retired full time in 18, and then I steer roped in.
Yeah, because I know there's a lot of people confused. It's like you retired, but you didn't retire.
Well, I went. If you knew the way I rodeoed, I retired.
Right.
Because I went from doing 3 events, going to 100 rodeos a year, to I just steer rope, go to 15, 20 events maybe a year. Everything since 2018 has been on a hobby status.
Yeah.
Because
by your standards.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I tell Miles, he's up at 4:30. It doesn't matter if it's winter, summer, it doesn't matter. They're riding 16, 18 head of horses a day. And, that's what I said. I said, don't get this twisted. I said, I love doing this, but like, I'm going to be at basketball. I'm going to be at all the things my kids got going on. And so, this is just, don't ever forget, this is a hobby for me. So, because it's not a hobby for anybody else around there. It's full force.
Well, I got a lot of questions because we've been almost.
You should have had enough time to get it together. I was like, I just didn't want you to half-ass it, and so like I'd get you built up to where you're like, surely you're prepared now, and then you know how when people leave, you think I should have asked them this. You've had so many opportunities. This better be good.
Trevor has almost been on this podcast. To be honest, like I think the first time was like 2020. He hi-hats me, y'all.
I avoid this like the plague.
To be honest,
I don't know why.
Y'all have seen how tall my cowboy hats can get? I've been hi-hatted even by Trevor Brazile. You avoid this one?
No.
Or all of them?
Podcasts in general. I don't know why.
Well, I don't feel bad for putting you on mine because you just went on the Luke Branquino show.
It was... I mean, he's a big guy.
Yeah, steer wrestler.
And he said it's just a Zoom.
Yeah, that's true. It was a Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll give you that. Well, I've got...
this has saved me from going on so many because I'm like, hey, I've been supposed to go on DBs for forever, and I can't do that with,
you can't
until I do this. And so now, when this happens, I don't have a very good excuse.
I got you. Yeah. So I've got a lot of questions from, it's funny because this note dates back to like 2020.
Awesome.
Some of these questions from the audience. Matter of fact, bringing you on the podcast, I almost renamed the podcast to Rodeo's Finest and Guest.
Perfect.
So anyways, a lot of these questions, they're not necessarily
relevant since they were in 2020 or what?
Well, that too, but I was going to say they're not necessarily rapid fire. So, just answer them however you feel. How much did you make last year after taxes? And these are from the audience. These are from the audience.
Well, I got a lot back in taxes. So, I mean, my return was high.
This is another one from the audience. Is it hard for you to maintain a suntan since you live in Patrick Smith's shadow?
That's a good one. It's a good one. They're not. Some of these guys, they don't know much about rodeo, huh?
This one might be like a 2020 question. Do you keep the same decorations for your retirement party each year? Or do you have to get new ones?
I'm assuming they're insinuating I had a fake retirement, but it was legit. I haven't been back out. I don't have any, like, even a little bit of me doesn't want to go back out there.
Really?
Right now. Mm-mm.
Like, I mean, it's July. Yeah, it is July 2nd.
Yeah. No,
and you are on a podcast at Dale Brisby's house.
Yeah. It's
I mean, hey, me too. I
know you have to deal with the same stuff, but and I tried. Like I thought I'm gonna go, and I did. I went to Pendleton a couple years ago, and it was fun because I love Pendleton. I love Cheyenne and that stuff, but it just taught me. I'd rather just go watch because if I do enough work to justify being ready to enter, I want to go to 20.
Yeah.
To prepare for one correctly, you don't want to just go to one.
Yeah.
You want to go, and
right.
That's not good for me.
Yeah.
So I just rather not go.
That's a good justification. Another one. Now, I don't know if this is from him, but Patrick Smith wants to know if you know any good chiropractors. He says his back hurts from carrying you through the last few years of your team rope and world titles.
Is he still rodeoing or is he retired?
I haven't checked. Yeah. Now that you're retired, do you take more naps than you do arthritis medicine, or is it the same amount?
It's close. It's close. Coming off shoulder surgery. He's cut.
Have you recovered from that?
I'm good.
You're good?
You know what's so crazy is I didn't realize I needed elbow surgery till I fixed my shoulder, and now
it just
looks like I'm going to have to go again.
Preston claims now that you're retired that when you go to the grocery store, you use the motorized scooters.
Never happened.
Not true? Okay.
Not true.
I don't know who asked this one. How many more friends do you think you would have if you had entered a real event like bull riding? Would it be a lot or just a couple more friends?
Unbelievable. Who was that from?
I don't, I should have marked down who that was. Yes.
Yeah.
Have you ever jumped in the truck to go to a rodeo and said in a pirate's accent, "Let's go get the booty"?
Nope.
Stupid question. I don't know if that's that one. True or false? Jason Aldean said, "Aren't you that bull rider guy?"
False.
Didn't that happen?
It was way worse than that. I should have just said true.
Tuff told me about that a long time ago.
Yeah, no. Well, the one I'm thinking of, I was at Resorts World waiting. I forget what concert we were doing or the after party right there, and went into the bathroom, came out, and this guy goes, "I know who you are." I was like, "Thanks. Nice to meet you." He goes, "You're Luke Bryan." He couldn't get away from me fast enough.
Yeah.
God, but what's worse is my buddies heard it, and so I've never lived that one down.
So this was like before. Yeah, this was a long time ago. Tuff told me you and him were walking. It was at Houston, and it was when Jason Aldean was with Wrangler, and he said something like, "Oh yeah, you're the bull rider guy." But
you've ruined it for all us Tommies.
Everybody's a bull rider.
Yeah.
Another one. This one is from Patrick. He told me to ask you about something about a plane ticket in Denver.
I don't have any idea where we're going, but I know what he's talking about.
That was the first thing he said.
I hate to add any validity to this story because it's completely made up. He's just butthurt because I won. You know, when you're with somebody, you guys will know. We wrote for 10 or 12 years, which is like 30 years in team roping age. And so we have a travel agent, and every time we go,
That's good. Yeah. Travel agent.
Look like the Hawk Tua girl.
Grab that.
Anyway,
you feel me?
Anyway, so we get on the plane, and so we usually, if I'm in a bad run of middle seats, I'll call the lady and like, hey, how about you show me a little love for a minute on one or the other. And so it was one of those deals where he was in the middle seat.
Mm.
And, or actually I had the middle seat in this particular instance. And, so I came and I was already in the window cause I went in there first. And he says, we're not going to have problems, are we? I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And it's not like there's different tickets. Like they rip them off and like, it's not the real big, thick, hardy ones. You know what I mean? Like the cardboard ones. It was a thinner type and they just rip it and give you the little, a 2x2 square.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I said, well, I don't know what you're talking about because I'm not moving. And he goes, well, I think the stewardess is going to have something different to say when she gets here. And so he has this in his hand, this ticket in his hand, and he reaches up with his other 3 fingers and was going to touch the stewardess button. And he did. He rang it. And then I grabbed that, threw it in my mouth, chewed it up, swallowed it, and ate it. And I said, now you're not going to get on the plane. He goes, no, I'll just sit in the middle. He goes, we're sitting there for a minute. He goes, I don't know how many plane tickets you've eaten in your life, but that was a terrible one to eat. And that's when he comes up with this elaborate story of he's at the urinal. Well, we're late to the flight, number one.
Yeah.
And so he ducks off at the urinal because he's a girl. And I just keep going, and I go get in the seat like the man. And he runs in there, and he's like, do you know where I had to go? I was like, probably the bathroom. You're like a chick. And he says, yeah, I did. He goes, but if I told you, you wouldn't believe me. He goes, that ticket I had, I was put it somewhere while I was peeing in the urinal. And he goes, couldn't hold on to it for some reason. And he goes, it went just like this right in the urinal. And I'm like, and you got it. He goes, I had no choice. And so that's his side, but the ticket wasn't wet. So
and it tasted, it tasted great.
No, it didn't taste like urinal from all over the world, like he said. So that's his story, and well, he's got a lot of mileage out of it. But in the end, he turned my win into his win, or tried to.
Yeah, sounds like y'all's whole career.
Yeah,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you said it.
Yeah, I mean, you sat at the window, so who really won?
Yeah, exactly.
Big thanks again to Ranch Fuel bringing this episode of the Rodeo Time podcast, as well as Rock and Roll Denim. Total Feeds powering Boone, American Hat,
Can-Am side-by-sides, and last but not least, Mountain Ops supplements to get you feeling right so you can spur your bucking bulls. All right, old son? Go check out rodeotime.com. But for now, let's get back to hearing more from Trevor Brazile. Or is it pronounced Brazile? Trevor Brazile. Yep. Now back to Treston.
So it sounds like you've had like a lot of trouble with planes, actually.
You rodeo long enough.
You don't only take them occasionally, but you are in them long enough that you're scared you're going to die in them. Have you like almost died in like multiple plane crashes?
I have. Well, no, I mean like, but I've been in enough situations rodeoing over the 20 years career of mine. And most of them have been private planes, you know, the smaller ones. They get a little rough. Yeah. And but I mean I've had several. When I was younger, I remember rodeoing with Fred, Cody, Roy, Blair, I think Strand, Herbert, and Joe was in the plane with me.
That many guys?
It was a better plane than we usually flew in. We were going from Colorado Springs to Sykeston, and the whole cabin, I remember it, the whole cabin filled up with smoke. And well, it started at the very top. The top of the cabin started having a little bit of smoke in it, and then it just kept dropping and dropping until you had to get under it because it would burn your eyes. It's electrical fire is what it was. And he had to turn his instruments off, and it was night, and we couldn't land till we got there because inside around that area, you know, there's a lot of trees. And so that was one of the ones that once we landed, I wasn't getting back on for any amount of money. But
so how'd you people that you don't
on
think,
that trip?
Huh?
How'd you get home on that trip?
We had a different one. We were all in agreement. We weren't getting back on that one. Yeah. And I don't even know if it was able, you know.
Yeah.
Because they have rules about that stuff. But
people you don't even know what you're going to say.
People you have never known were religious get religious real fast on things like that.
Yeah, imagine.
Yeah. But yeah, had I not been blood-bought child of God, I don't think I'd have ever got another one.
Yeah.
But me and Patrick, we were flying back to the short route in Pendleton one year, similar story. This guy just turns around and says, "Hey, we got a problem." I'm like, don't start a conversation like that when you're in that high in the air. And he's like, "We're losing oil pressure." And he goes, I was like, "What does that mean?" He goes, "It means we need to go unless it's either a gauge and it's no big deal, or it's not a gauge and it's a real big deal." And he's like, "Well, I can turn around to Salt Lake and we can be there in 30 minutes, or I can go an hour the direction that we're going and we'll be closer to where we're going." And I was like, whatever's closest, we'll just do it.
Yeah.
And so we turned around, and when we landed it must have been a big deal because when we landed at Salt Lake, there was ambulances, everything out there ready.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, I guess there was a hole in the oil pan and it was losing pressure.
So he communicated that much to them.
Yeah, I'm glad he didn't communicate.
So did y'all make it to the rodeo?
We actually landed, and we did a lot of praying, and then when we got close enough to the ground to get service, called the travel agent, said, "Is there any flights that go from Salt Lake to Tri-Cities that we can make the?" And it turned out they team roped far enough down in the performance that we wouldn't have made the bareback or some of the first.
Yeah.
But
the more important event.
Yeah. But we were able to make like the mutton bus and team roping when they did all that stuff. Yeah. So we just jump off there and run over to the commercial deal, and it worked out good. But I was actually filming a reality show right then, and so they were waiting to watch us come in the airport anyway, and we're going to pick us up, and the camera crew had to put it in their hats on backwards to get there in time on that one.
Made for good TV, I bet.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yes, that's right.
So I got to do a podcast with Patrick first because, in your words, like he had less going on.
Yeah.
And
That's an
but
understatement of the year.
he said in 2009 NFR, y'all made $2,700. But the way.
So when you get to the NFR, they tell you, there's a stipend.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
as much as a first round win?
No. It's like, if you don't win anything all week, you get a 4th place check or a 6th place check, whatever it is. I don't know. I remember it being $8,000 or $9,000,
mm-hmm.
something like that.
89,000 is a lot of money.
8 or 9,000.
Oh, okay.
And I remember, and everybody gets there, they're like, they don't even think about it because they're like,
yeah,
who's going to not win that much?
Right.
Yeah, this guy. This guy. And the worst of it is we did win $2,700. But I had a good week in the calf roping, and so I'd already exceeded the stipend. So not only did I only win $2,700, he got the extra check because that's his only event. And since I did good in the calf roping, they didn't even give me my stipend in the team roping.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, he won more than I did that time. Yeah, we were the lowest in 2009. We were the lowest money earning team in Las Vegas. You don't want to get that on your buckle or anything,
right?
But I guess it's better than being 16th.
Yeah. But one thing he mentioned is how much it affected you for 2010, and he talked about just your mindset after a loss like that.
Well, in 2010, we came back and were the exact opposite.
Right.
We won more than anybody else did in 2010 at the national finals. So, I mean.
And then you also.
We won the world that year too.
But you won.
I won the Triple Crown that year.
Yeah. The other events.
Yeah, no, I wasn't kidding earlier when I said rodeo humbles you.
Yeah.
It is. It doesn't matter who you are. I mean, you can work your ass off in any discipline, any sport. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to pay you back.
Yeah.
Like, you do it, expecting to win, but no matter if you put in the work or if you don't, it still doesn't owe you anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you have to go execute. All the practice in the world is futile if you don't execute. So, and you got to do it when it counts.
How much of a motivator was that NFR though for you? Or do you feel like
I've had some, that was a huge motivator for me. Because I always thought of myself as a gamer when it came to times like that. And when you think that and you leave the least gamiest.
That's the humbling part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. And I know it sucks now. And a lot of that, not really now because I forgot about it till you brought it up, but it does. But it's also, an awesome teaching point to where, it can happen to anybody. Nobody's immune to that stuff. And so it's helped me help a lot of other people along the way that are, struggling or this and that. And I was like, it's not just you.
Yeah,
it can happen to anybody.
I know this is kind of a cliche question, but I ask it now at this point in my life with a different mindset based on, who I guess I'm trying to be as a Christian. But so you come off of 2009, you do have that type of NFR, and you're trying to go to in 2009 or 2010, whatever. How, because I think humility is just the most important thing as a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I think pride is what made the devil. I think humility is what made Jesus. So how do you go into 2010? That humility is a good thing, but then you also need to have the confidence to walk in there a winner so that you can win and that not grow to pride.
That's a It's a great question, but I mean, like when events like that are lurking, and like '05, I won the world in 2, 3, and 4, and then '05, I did terrible and didn't win it. And that was as much of a motivator as anything to me throughout my years, leading, because I'm like, I'm fixing that. I feel like I got a little bit too relaxed, started, other businesses, whether it would be more sponsor obligations, get pulled in more different directions. And after that year, I got more focused again.
In '05?
'05, I lost. '06 on, I was just like, that was
laser beam.
Terrible. But yeah, I'm also going to make it great, because I'm going to learn from that one. But that was the way that the year that we didn't win anything, it's the same thing. I mean, like, that does humble you. And so how you come in there with confidence after that is I don't know any other way to get confidence other than preparation. And so that was my confidence, that I knew. Everybody thought that my work ethic was why I was successful. My work ethic, I had to do my work ethic so that I was able to go in there thinking that I was going to beat somebody. That's because, I mean, if you would have asked me in my rookie year, about my goals, I mean, my lofty goal would have been to win a world championship in the all-around. My realistic, I'll just hedge my bet. If y'all can guarantee me that I can make a living doing this, I don't need a world championship. I don't need anything.
Yeah.
Just that I can support everything I do through this. That was my. If you look at your heart of hearts, like, that would have been good enough for me.
Yeah.
Because if somebody would have come to me and said, for 20 years, you'll be able to make a living, a decent living doing what you love to do, I'd have been like,
sign me up.
All right, I don't need a world championship.
Yeah.
Because
yes,
I mean, you line. I've said it forever. You line all the world champions up on that wall right there, and put me in the lineup, and have some guys back here that are supposed to pick out world championships. I'm not going to be the guy that they call the King of the Cowboys. Nobody's going to assume that when they see me. But that's why I think I always looked at it like that was David. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
With
yeah.
Maybe I was the least likely physically or whatever, but had enough of the gifts to put together and mix with some hard work and faith, mixing that with some actions that he would be able to use it for his glory, not mine. And so I think that, looking back, made it more powerful than if I was 6'3" and chiseled up, you know what I mean, and looked like I should play other pro sports.
Yeah. Like you said earlier, known each other about 10 years. I think I would, not trying to toot your horn, and I don't know how. I would attach humility as a characteristic to Trevor. Has that always been the case in terms of your rodeo career, or was there a moment where you began to? I would assume it has been. Like, did you always have those? Because you said that rodeoing is a humbling sport. Like,
Mm-hmm.
was there an 05, 09 moment that kind of postured you in this position, or was that something that you were taught?
Well,
as a kid,
I definitely think I was taught that. I mean, my parents wouldn't stand for any kind of gloating or pride.
Right.
That was just a no-go.
That makes the most
around my parents. And so far as to where, I mean, even if you thought you should win so much that you throw fits, my dad said, we'll pack it up, sell everything. You're
That's
just
awesome.
not going to act like that.
That's awesome.
And he would pick out rodeo stars and say, if you ever act like that, it's not worth it. But to go more into that, like if you've rodeoed on, without resources, I don't think there's any other way to be than humble, because I mean, like, I remember going my rookie year, went to my on my permit. I go to Pecos, Texas on my permit, win $3,500, which I'm entered in 3 events. That's the way I entered rodeos. I looked in the sports news. If it didn't have all my events, I didn't go. Like it might be, I might be going here to here to here. Like it made no sense. I was,
Yeah.
If I showed you my schedule, my rookie year, you'd know I was a rookie. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But, I remember calling home probably after Pecos the next year. So I filled my permit in Pecos, first rodeo, thinking, yeah. And anyway, then I go home and I'm practicing for Pendleton, the pasture, and laid my horse down, broke my ankle. So
dang,
I'm a couple surgeries, ankle surgeries later. I'm back. I'm my rookie year, and shoot, I remember calling my dad and saying, I don't know if this is for me. Like,
wow,
like I can't win money. It's costing me so much. And he's like, well, you can always flip burgers. I mean, true story. That's his answer. And so there wasn't any,
dang,
it'll be okay.
What an answer.
I mean, like if you don't want to do it, don't do it, So,
yeah. I don't know. To be honest, that wasn't like a prepared question. It's not something that I don't think it's a traditional podcast question. I'm more so asking it for me just because the more I study it, the more fascinated I am with it. I don't think it's something I have. It's something I'd like to have. But I read in this book, a guy like years, like in the 20s or something, this book was written, and he said that essentially be grateful for anything that, like, be grateful for a loss. Accept with gratitude anything that brings you to or reminds you of your need for humility. And it wasn't so much like this thing of like, yeah, you better celebrate your losses because that's how you win. It was more like, no, we need to be humble as Christians, and so be thankful for things that make you humble. End of story, And now if we use that as fuel to win, maybe, that can still be a blessing. And anyhow, there's a lot of people in rodeo who maybe, I can think of one or two off my head, the way they act, and they've only got a couple of NFR appearances.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got 26 world titles. And just the way you act as, a man seems like something I think that these guys, anyhow, I guess it makes me wonder what your thought process is on pride versus humility.
Well, everybody's walk's different, and your walk's in different stages. And I remember like going through times to where like I would be struggling, and I would be like, man, like you can't receive a blessing every time you go, but you can. Can you be happy for somebody else that is in that spot at that time? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so like I went through that spot
Dang,
to where
that's a good,
man, are you truly happy for somebody else that
yes,
received what you've been receiving?
Yes.
Or is it only good when you get it?
Man, that's exactly what this book talks about.
Really?
It was like a whole nother page. It was just like, if you're upset somebody else won, that's just kind of more evidence of your personal pride.
And I don't know really where I was going other than that. But, I mean,
I don't either.
But I do remember that being I do know what I was going to say after that. But I remember me having to learn that for it to be real. Like if you can't be happy for other people's blessings, then you've got a lot of work to do, in the meantime. But also when you do have that gratitude as an attitude, like when you're a thankful person, and so like you're put in a high pressure situation and you're thankful just to be in that opportunity and have the opportunity to do what you've been working on. Do you think that guy's harder to beat than the guy that's in the same situation, that's stressed, doubtful, it's do or die? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, the paradigm shift is so easy to see from, because I've lived it. I know the grateful guy is so hard to beat versus the guy that's so constricted by just performance and today, and it has to happen today, and it's like all these ultimatums. I mean, like everybody's like, how many do or die situations have you been in?
Yeah,
like, none. You know what I mean? None. And I've done it a long time, but like they put themselves in do or die situations. They make it an almost an impossible feat for this guy to just kick your ass because, well, I mean, I'm so thankful I get to do what I've been working on all week. I get the opportunity, everything that I've been practicing for, to go do it right here.
Yeah.
And if I don't, then I'll do it the next time, or because I didn't die, because I didn't do. That's, I think so many people get, I don't know if it's too simple that they make it harder. I don't know, but I've watched it so many times, and like, I'll get around guys at the NFR and they're not the guys they were when they got, like, the guy that was kicking butt all season.
Right.
Is a different guy that showed up out there. And I was like, man, that's got to be hard too.
Is there a mentality that if you have a mindset of this, if you accept that this isn't a do or die situation, that's almost like you saying it's okay to lose, and people aren't okay with saying that? Is that maybe what would put them in that added pressure?
mindset? I never looked at it like that, but I know that I lost more than I ever won.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody rodeoing that didn't lose more than they won, but they,
Dale Brisby, but
other than you.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like that's what rodeoing's about. Like, the worst thing for rodeoing, to me, the hardest thing about it is you got to lose a lot, but you got to be ready to win the very next time, because like the losses don't really need to be your fault.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the opportunities are sparse. That's the difference between us and basketball. You go in the gym, it's going to be the same temperature. You're going to have the same mark for the 3-point line, same free throw.
Dang.
They get that opportunity every day, and it never changes to where we show up in a 30-foot score, raining, Vegas. It's just, there's a different.
Somebody drunk is behind the healing box or something.
Yeah. I mean, there's they got to deal with that stuff too.
Yeah, I guess they do. Yeah, basketball.
But I'm saying nothing's ever the same. Like, and the same basket that you shoot on, I shoot on. No, you may have a kicking calf. I may have one that took the tie that day. I mean, like, there's other things you have to be strong mentally to discern. I couldn't control that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but you also have to have, I think I'm a realist to be like, hey, I got to fix this. I can't let that happen. It does happen, but I can't let it keep happening,
Well, Patrick said he couldn't figure out if it was like a winning thing or you just literally had a bad memory, but
both.
But the way that you were able to bounce back and 09 to 10 was a testament to that I guess maybe he was, I'm trying to remember what he said because the podcast was about a year ago, but it vaguely, it was like he was talking about him being really upset after a loss, and your mentality early on when y'all were roping together, how you kind of explained the way, like
the way you shook it off to him was something where he learned that was the mindset that you needed to have. And not that it didn't matter, but that if you did throw your sucker in the dirt, how that mentality wasn't going to help you on the next one.
Yeah. Well, I remember, since he's put it out on me, I'll just go ahead and put it on. I mean, I remember when we started roping, we didn't do good. We're headed to the rodeo. I'm like, where are we going to eat? And, it's real quiet. Like, eat. We didn't win. I was like, well, you can starve yourself.
Yeah.
But I'm going to eat.
Yeah.
And it was just like, that was just the culture that he had rodeoed in.
Mm.
And I was just like, I know how many steers you ran. I know how hard you are looking for the best horses you can be on. Like, you tend to business. Like, I can see it if you were mad at yourself for being lazy.
Yeah.
Not planning, or cutting corners.
Yeah.
But I said, that's not the case. And so is this not what you love to do? Is this truly what you love to do? Why are we, we knew when we started, we were going to lose.
Right.
There's times you're going to lose. There's times you're going to win. We just got to win more, and so as long as we're not doing the things that sabotage ourselves, like having a bad attitude and not eating and getting just pissy, who can win like that? It's just, especially as a partner. It's one thing if you're rodeoing with somebody like that, you'd be like, I'm going to switch rigs or whatever. You can't do that in the team roping.
Yeah.
That's your partner. And so we grew a lot, we learned a lot from each other. When we first started rodeoing, it was just our wives and a table for 4. And then when we stopped, it was a table for 10, so we did a lot of winning. We did a lot of life, together. And, we have partnerships and business outside of that now, because there's some of the stuff I learned, in pressure with a lot of different guys is I would want to be in business with somebody like that, character, integrity, that kind of stuff. It transcends sports disciplines, whatever, that's the guys you go to battle with, whether business or anything.
I think it was in 2009. It might have been 10, but I think it would have been 10. But I was in Mesquite and I heard you were getting interviewed, and I was busy, so they
signing autographs.
Right. Yes. I was like, I can't do it. Get Trevor. And they asked, what's the secret to success? And I felt like it was just your answer, that it wasn't necessarily something you'd written on the wall, but that you had written on the wall, and maybe it was, doesn't matter. But you said, you just responded, there is no secret. It's hard work. And, I've always remembered that. And well, I'll let you expand on that, but I've got essentially, it makes me think of, talent, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard a clip the other day, Cam Haynes, the bow hunter, he was interviewing a guy that trained athletes, on a professional level. I want to say it was basketball, because they were referencing like MJ and LeBron level accomplished players. And Cam asked him what he thought, does hard work beat talent when talent doesn't work hard? And he agreed with him to an extent, but he added that like those elite MJ level players, like they do also have the talent.
Yeah.
And there's other guys that might work as hard as him that aren't going to be that good. And that was this guy, one man's opinion.
100%. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you might show up at a play day and that be true. Hard work beats talent, because they've prepped and done things. But like you say, at any professional level, nobody got there without talent.
Some talent.
Yeah. No, the talent was there, but you also got to do your part, because I think you can cultivate talent like you do a crop. You know, I mean, just because you were this talented, when you mix, you know, the time and the effort and the blood, sweat, and tears, if you don't make it grow, you can just stay at that talent level, but you're not going to beat those guys that keep growing, you know, because they're expanding their talent.
Was that something that was like day one in your formula for success?
But no, but I mean, I saw at a junior rodeo level people that were this talent that I'm talking about. If I started with this much talent, I'm not saying I wasn't talented, but they started with this much talent.
Yeah.
And I just had to do a lot more expanding than they did. And I did it differently too. I mean, like in my events, horses are a huge part. And so I remember working for nearly nothing, getting cleaning stalls, getting snubbed to 2-year-olds. From I got off school at 12 o'clock, and I would go there, do that till we had to turn the lights on, and then I would get to ride my horse and heel and stuff. But I mean, I was working for a horse trainer, Jess Elrod. He taught me a ton. Yeah. Like it was huge. But and like
that's where you had to go.
So like I didn't have an arena.
Yeah, because you didn't have an arena.
So much of that
there.
Like, and I had an arena on and off, you know, depending on, you know, what years it was. But when I didn't have an arena, I felt like I got more out of my practices because number one, I was learning from other guys that he was a horse trainer, and instead of me feeling sorry for myself, but like, I don't have an arena, all these other kids have this, and this, and this.
Yeah.
Like I'm learning from a skill set that nobody else is learning right now, which later on in my career will pay dividends, because now not only can I make a horse, I can buy a horse, make it better. And like, so where most people buy $100,000 horse and they're lucky to get half of it back. I might buy $100,000 horse and not just get my money back, but it may double,
right?
You know, because that was what somebody else had done with them. And when you put in all the skills that they taught me, the horse becomes better.
Yeah.
And so it made me do my job better. It made my assets worth more money. I mean, so like, and that was, I never thought about it like that, you know, but you approach it with the right kind of attitude. And I'm not saying I approached it with the right kind of attitude always, but I loved what I did so much that I didn't mind doing all that other stuff to get to do it.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's what I think people discount, my passion for what I did, because I ride, I mean, like I'm just coming back, but I'll ride 10 horses a day in the summertime.
Yeah.
And like guys that are pretending to want to win a world championship don't practice as much as I do, and that's a hobby for me now. You know what I'm saying? And so like that's what you can't discount either. Like I was truly passionate about it. Like I don't mind. My rodeo career was over, but like I was okay with it as long as I was still roping and riding horses and being a cowboy.
Where would you be? What would your accomplishments look like if you had relied just on your talent and you worked as hard as the guy you just described that may not get out in the heat? Where, after all these years, I mean, what do you think? Like,
I mean,
a few NFRs?
I did all that I did, and I still almost didn't make it through my rookie year. So, because I didn't have a plan B.
You're saying you may not have
send me money.
You may not have made it out of the gate.
If this year doesn't do good, we'll put this much in your account, but that's it for next year. No, nobody ever put, like I paid my own fees since I was 12. I bought cattle. I had a note at the bank for roping calves.
Yeah.
I had my dad paid my fees at the timed event for the first time I went because I was in a walking boot when they called me. I said when I was my first year at Vernon College, they called me and said Jimmy Smith was the one who used to own Smith Brothers or be partners in Smith Brothers. And so I didn't have an arena. See, I mean, like, I don't even think about this stuff till I break it down and get to talking about it.
Yeah.
But so I don't have an arena. And you know how hard it is to get in the timed event.
Right.
Like 20 guys, invitation only. You got to be an NFR qualifier, world champion, something to put asses in the seat. Because from their perspective, if you can't sell tickets, they don't need you as one of the 20. And so somebody drew out. And so I'm going to rewind. When I was young, not having an arena, Jimmy Smith leased steers because he was a producer to all these places. And he would call me and say, I got a load of steers came in from somewhere. I need you to rope through them and see which ones I can lease back out and which ones are no good.
You talking about Jimmy that later judged?
No. He's
sorry,
Denton, Texas, Smith Brothers Rope Company. And anyway, I lived 4 miles from there. And so I would go down there with my horse or horses. I had a couple at that time, and I would just run all the steers. Mm-hmm. And so just not having an arena, I made a relationship with this guy.
Yeah.
And he's producing the stock at the timed events. And A.G. Myers is running the Lazy E at that time. And he's like, just happens to be sitting like this and be like, hey, such and such just drew out. It's 2 weeks away and we're not going to find anybody between now and then. And Jimmy Smith's like, I know a kid.
Dang.
And he's like, he's not going to make us look stupid, is he?
Yeah. And
he's like, no. And so like he put his, credibility on the line. Right. And my dad calls me and said, you're in the town event. I'm like, I'm in a walking boot. Like I'm a subpar bulldogger, healthy, and he's just like, if you pass on this opportunity, I can't say that you'll get it again. And I said, all right, tell him we'll go. And I got my walking boot. I mean, like I really was. I was scared because I mean, like it came off and I jumped a few steers and it was, no confidence. Even getting off my calf horse going that fast at the Lazy 600 feet long, you get going fast. And I'd look back at the old videos and I was like, golly, that was rough. But
yeah.
I won second that year, and I think I've won close to $1 million at the Lazy E because of that first deal that got my foot in the door. And I really think I won $25,000, by far the biggest check I'd ever won at that point. But I think that's kind of what helped me get my career started too, because there wasn't, unless I would sell one of my horses, like I'd be training one, I'd be rodeoing. I remember going to Reno, and I sold my horse when I didn't do good at Reno, and I came home and didn't show back up at Cheyenne till I had a 4-year-old going that was ready. I mean, that was just the only way I had to make money.
Right. So I don't know how to frame this question where it doesn't sound just a little disrespectful to your dad. But in reality, like you're obviously the only person to win that many world titles. Like there had to have been a point in there where he was kind of tapped out on the advice he could give you. And to be honest, there was nobody that could give you advice anymore. Like at some point you were swimming in uncharted waters.
Mm-hmm. He did a good job.
What did that look like?
I'm going to tell you what, you could never raise a kid like this again with social media. But my dad, he rodeoed, made the steer roping national finals, I want to say 5 times. He roped left-handed, so that was a challenge. Because all the arenas are set up, with the chutes on the right-hand side. And so they would have to haze his steer to the left so he'd have enough room to duck to the right. But anyway, and he roped calves, but he ran a feedlot or whatever he was doing at the time. And it was always part-time. But, like, he was buddies with Roy Cooper, and so he would take me to Roy's roping school.
Yeah.
And T-Wolm and Bobby Harris, I remember they would stop by. Tom Ferguson would stop by the feedlot when we lived in Groover, Texas, and he'd be rodeoing and not be going right, and my dad might have 10 head of steers, and he may just shoot dog them, and Dad said just run them back, and I mean, like, he said he was an animal, and so I heard those stories, and so it was like I knew that there was no other way to do it than full throttle.
That's the way your dad did it.
Yeah. But I mean, like, and he had shown me those type guys. But when he would go off, this is the part that you couldn't do now. He would go to a rodeo in Oklahoma, come back, and I was like, how'd you do? He goes, whether he won or whatever was the answer at that time. But man, I saw the kids up there in Oklahoma. You can't believe how good they're roping. And then, so man, here I am. I'm back at it. And I'm telling you, blisters.
Oh, jeez.
And it was Oklahoma until he went to Nebraska. But I mean, really, he was really good at like never letting you just kind of be good enough. And so he never took me to junior rodeos. I think my grandpa took me to Earth, Texas when I was maybe 9. And I knew I was ready once I got there, kind of in the break. So I'd never broke away other than like with the breakaway Honda on the end of my rope.
You bet.
And so when we get there, they're like, you got to tie it with string on the end. So the only time I was a little calf roper, and so I ran it through my keeper. So you have a keeper tied to your tie down, and then you have a neck rope, and then so this is me and my grandpa, and so I tied on like that, and luckily nobody else really caught at this little junior rodeo in the 9 and under or whatever it was, and I run in there and I rope him good, and I throw my slack up, and it breaks off my horn like it's supposed to with the string, goes through my neck rope and gets hung in my keeper.
Ooh.
And so my horse is just rearing up out there. And I think the cameraman ended up coming in and saving me. But I mean, talk about
that's funny,
humble beginnings. But then I remember I didn't go anywhere else. I won a buckle, but we didn't go anywhere else until like I remember, like maybe I was 11, and there was a series to where it was like 10 rodeos, and he paid my fees at the first one, and then I paid my fees the rest of the time because I went 10 in a row with those deals. But I think I was able to like get that confidence because I didn't ever get around my peers, and I didn't start junior rodeoing at 6 and I'd be like, well, I'm good enough. I'm better than everybody else around me.
Yeah.
I'm good enough, and so like he had me thinking like it was the promised land. Like these are the giants, I mean,
you were behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, always.
Well, I'm not trying to say that like your dad didn't help you throughout your career, but there had to be a moment where you look up and you realize that people, and winning is winning, whether it's your 9th win or your first win. I'm sure Roy and your dad and all these, but like, was there a moment where you realized that really the best person to help you through that situation was going to be yourself?
No, there really wasn't. I mean, because whether like I always said, my dad taught me how to rope, and I mean, and I dang sure mixed the action with it, no doubt. And he protected, who I got advice from. I will say that he didn't just let anybody give me advice. But you know how I said there's no secrets to success. The only thing that he would really tell me that I can really remember him telling me was don't take anything for granted. Like when I'm going in the box, it's not, hey, score good. Or he might say score good and don't take anything for granted. That was it forever.
Yeah.
And, but everybody else has got this checklist they're going through the box with. And I mean, subconsciously, if you're having to think about it, you're not going to beat the guy that's not anyway, because it's not muscle memory. Yeah. And so it seemed like a lot of other parents at that time were sabotaging their kid with, don't forget this, and this.
Yeah.
And my dad's just like, hey, the easy things, don't even take the easy things for granted, because you got to do them all to win. So just don't take one. So for me, that was my.
Oh, he's talking about the fundamentals.
Yeah, that was my mentality. Yeah, no, I'm in the box, and so I think that it sounds so simple, but I mean, really and truly, once you do everything enough, you really don't have an excuse. You run out of excuses if you're not real good at making them. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? At some point to where, yeah, it is just don't sabotage yourself. Do every part of it good. Don't. I remember I was small, and so flanking, everybody was like, well, he may not flank good enough or whatever. And so I was able to make that, because I focused on it so much, make that one of my strengths. Make your weaknesses your strengths. That's no secret. But I mean, you have to be real with yourself to know what those are. You can't just ignore them. But that also meant you still got a rope sharp, even though that's one of your strengths. It doesn't do it for you. So don't take anything for granted.
How much do you think your success is owed to the fact that you just didn't quit?
Hard to quantify that, but
I mean, I know
never seen anybody quit and win.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where the passion kicked in. I mean, I wasn't going to do something because I mean, I couldn't go broke doing it. I couldn't recover unless I sold my horses or something. You know what I'm saying? There was no recovering for me other than winning. So I just had to make sure that I win when I had the opportunity. And that's hard when you don't have the resources, and that you're not going to be able to win every time because the draw, or, you're going to make mistakes. Stuff's going to happen. You're going to rope in mud when everybody else ropes in the dry. I mean, that's rodeo part of it. But you got to know that everyone is that important, because you may not get that chance at the next 4. That's what people don't say. They were like, all right, I'll win the next one. Well, may not have an opportunity to win it.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter how prepared you are, the reality is you may not have an opportunity to win as much as you can feel like you can take stuff on your own shoulders and make it happen. You can't.
Literally, how much more did you practice than your competition, do you think?
I guess I don't really know how much my competition practiced. And I think I took that from that story I told you about my dad saying, well, these guys up here.
There was always a boogeyman for you.
Yeah. There was always that. And so I knew that if I was doing 3 events, I couldn't, if the calf ropers and the team ropers and the steer ropers were all just practicing 3 or 4 hours a day, I couldn't do my 3 events an hour each, because then I'm doing a third the work that they are, or a fourth the work that they are. So I got to outwork them at every event. So, I mean, it took a lot of time. So.
Yeah. Was there a time, since you've been doing that many events from the beginning all the way through the end, was there a time when you wanted to shake one or two?
I mean, there were times when I did do, I made the steer open finals in 97. I made the steer open in I healed in 98 and I didn't make it in the calf roping. And then in the 99, I focused more on my calf roping and made it in the steer roping and the tie down roping. And so it wasn't later till I can kind of get all my chicks gathered up and headed in the same direction.
Yeah.
But then it was easier. I loved healing, and that was what I made the finals in first. But seemed like it was easier for me. The headers run the business side of it primarily. You know, there are exceptions, but do the entering and do all that. And so, like, I entered 3 events. So entering's hard enough anyway in one event, but somebody else couldn't enter me. And if somebody was doing the entering, they weren't going to do justice to these other 2 events. So I went to heading after that so I could have a little more control of that situation.
Can you cross event buddy with 3 events and then 1 team?
You can, but for some reason, it's not some reason. So like the bareback riders have a representative.
Mm-hmm.
The bull riders have a representative, tie down ropers. There's no multi-event representative. So you and 3 other bull riders can rodeo together.
Right.
But me being one guy I can cross event buddy
with yourself,
but it's not a rule. It's I forget what they call it, but courtesy. They'll try.
Gotcha.
So, but they can get 4 guys together because they have representation. But since the all-around people don't have or multi-event guys, it doesn't matter if you're Stetson right. You're not guaranteed to get up the same time.
Gotcha.
So I wish that wasn't the case because I don't want to see it gets so hard. And I mean, people call me and they're like, how do you do it? Or like, I have more respect now after trying to do multiple events. And I was like, man, I wish they would change. That's one thing I wish they would change to where that doesn't get so hard to do.
Enter one rodeo.
It doesn't sound that complicated for one guy doing 3 events to be treated no different than 4 guys doing the same event.
Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
see what you can do.
One of those things, I'll talk to the commissioner. We'll add it to the list of suggestions for the box up at the PRCA.
Yeah.
What about the rice prank? I don't even know this story, so I'm...
Well, then I don't know what you're talking about.
Something about a bus.
Yeah. Golly, this is Patrick again. He must get really bored. We're rodeoing, and I don't know where he was that he saw black rice, but he's like, man, that looks really close to mouse shit. And so he gets a bag, I guess, and he's rodeoing in my rig. And so every once in a while, he'll just sprinkle a little out every once in a while. And I'll be like, what is that? He's like, I think you got mice. And it just kept going until he would get bold enough to put a little under my pillow or in my bed. And at that point, it goes on for a couple weeks, and I've bought Walmart out of mouse traps. Glue traps, every trap that you can do, I've just got them everywhere. And it's like they're multiplying. There's rat crap everywhere. Oh. And finally, my wife, I think we're somewhere in the Northwest, and she's like, I'm out of here. And he let her in on it then, that it really wasn't mice. And about a day or 2 later, I was just like, that's all. He was like, that's got to be what it is. And he picked one up, and he's like, yeah, that's mice. No, and then that's when he let me in on it. That was a pretty good one.
Did y'all prank each other a lot?
Yeah.
What's another memorable one?
The jerky sticks.
Jerky sticks.
The big Slim Jims.
Uh-huh.
We'd just be going through the convenience store. Somebody might be paying out. Somebody might just be looking in an aisle and come up behind them and hit them on the back of the legs with one of those jerky sticks. I'm talking about that with Sting now. That went on for a long time because it would somebody would have a camera going.
The jerky sticks. Mm-hmm. What about the Kid Rockin' Rodeo?
That was fun.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I've never been so entertained. Zero disrespect by this, but like, I've never been more entranced by the timed event.
Yeah. No,
I've always had a respect for it.
Mm-hmm.
As a roughie, we make our jokes, but just as a cowboy, it's very entertaining to me. My dad team roped, and so like I've always enjoyed watching timed events, but I've never enjoyed it more than that night.
Yeah, and I've competed in that type of scenario before, not in a rodeo, but just in the tie down roping specifically at jackpots, and it's a blast to compete at. And I think the barrel racing,
yeah.
Same thing. I respect it, and I know how much goes into it, but like that makes it exciting for sure for me.
Well, Cole put it into words like that night we were watching it. It doesn't take, an educated eye to realize who won.
Mm-hmm.
Right then. But with the rough stock, you do. Mm-hmm. And we all know those moments where a horse rears up, spins on its hind end, the crowd goes nuts, and then it's a reride. It's a 55 point.
Yeah.
And we know as cowboys, like, hey, that's really easy to ride, actually.
Yeah.
Roy Rogers could, anyways. But the crowd doesn't understand it. And I'd heard a guy say once that like one thing rodeo didn't have in its corner was that it was more like the circus because there are some nuances you have to, whereas basketball, like you said, we can all appreciate, man, that guy can jump really high and it's entertaining, whether you like basketball or not, to a certain extent. And that night was so unique, though.
It was awesome. I'm just glad it lived up to the hype, because there's the first one. I mean, there's so much stuff that can go wrong when you're doing the first of anything, and I thought they did a great job for a first. I thought they were wanting to learn what they could have done better. I think in the time events, you don't even need a clock. I think you need great camera angles and let the crowd almost be the judge, because if you have both the guys, like say in the tie down roping, when their hands coming off their string when they're tying, that's the guy that won. Time is irrelevant when you're head to head.
Right.
And so like in the venues that they, have the opportunity to take those type of events to the technology and cameras, I mean, that shouldn't be an issue. I think that would be fun, because like you said, the crowd can tell as much as anybody that does it for a living. This guy won,
So, I mean, I hear there's a chance they're probably going to do another Kid Rockin' Rodeo. Like, that was the word I got, at least. Like, do you feel like it'll kind of encourage people or tempt people to change it at other big rodeos? Or is that a long time away?
I mean, I did. It takes a unique facility for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, you
true.
Can't just do it anywhere.
Right.
That number one would deter a lot, and just there's a lot that goes into that type of format.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing one event, and that's one thing, but doing the full rodeo like that, that's a production.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, to me, it definitely lived up to the hype. But, yeah, how it's framed for the future, I have no idea. These questions are not quite as Trevor specific.
Before you get started, would you do a lot of stuff different in the draft or
on the
calculating.
Kid Rock and Rodeo?
Yeah.
Like as a coach or if I was running it?
I guess I'd give you either one, but I mean, like, to me, I think we got our butts kicked right off the bat. Misty Mountain Hop doing all the trades and stuff.
Yeah, but they're not the ones that won.
I know, but I just hate getting beat in any facet of it.
Right. Yeah, I've heard that.
I feel like they got us a little bit right there. That's the only place they got us, I think. But
there was a little bit of mix up with, it's just so, I think you and I both kind of saw that, you can have all the right guys, which we did. Mm-hmm. We had number one in the bareback, number one in the bronc riding, and all our timed events were really good. Mm-hmm. I don't remember all their names, but no, I'm just kidding. But the bears and the broncs, like, we didn't have the best draw for our bareback rider, and then our bronc rider didn't even get to go.
Yeah. And
so I think that, there's just, what more can you do other than draft the best talent?
No, and if there's one thing I learned from the draft is rodeo's deep when it comes to, like, lineups. Like, there's a lot. Like, that's one thing where the trades really didn't help you because there was always somebody good. There was even people good left after the draft, So that was pretty, like, until you're in that situation, you think, well, if you don't get in the top 3 of this or this, you don't have a chance. But man, there's, and some events more than others, but there's some really deep talent out there.
I think too that it was kind of unique because in the rough stock, you got to choose your horse. And I don't remember if there was like a home team and an away team, even though we're all away. And so the home team got to choose the horse. And then for us, it worked out that we were the away team on both. Mm-hmm. We didn't get to choose our horse, and then we had to go first. And whether the judge, I'm not trying to speculate and say that somebody else didn't make a great ride, but I feel like if you got to choose your animal, the other team should at least get to choose the order that they got to 100%.
Go. But
meaning like we would have chose to go second.
There was a few exceptions, but it pays to go second in the rough stock.
Yes.
There's a few exceptions, I will say, but dang.
And that's what I'm getting at. And
Cade Breno, I feel like we got hosed on that one. That was a good ride.
Cade made a good ride.
Good ride.
So there was that. What else? Oh, so I was a little nervous. We liked Leighton. Mm-hmm. And then turned out, Leighton had that big injury at Houston that needs to be on a podcast where he tore his urethra and then went 90. Yeah. Got blood on the rigging because those two horses are back to back. So made the finals and then won the finals, but had to have surgery. Yeah. And so had I done more research, we wouldn't have picked Leighton. But then he was fine. He won Clovis and was ready to go and was riding good.
He just didn't have a good enough horse that night.
And then that night he just didn't have a good enough horse. And so that's the thing with the roughies. It's just like, are you going to get to choose your horse? And so because you could have anybody.
Yeah.
And our horses were different enough in the bareback riding that it didn't matter for either one.
Yeah.
Because all those bareback riders can ride good, like you said. But I don't know how you frame it. That's just tough no matter who you are. But the Tommies, that's where you get the best guy, and the best guy is probably going to win. Don't you think?
It didn't happen there. The best guy that night did.
Right.
But, if you look at stats, the qualified team won.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
And, the bulldogging was hard.
Yeah.
That was fun to watch. I'm sure it was a little nerve-wracking nodding.
Yeah.
If you're the guy, because the arena's only 120 feet long.
Right.
That's short in the bulldogging. Like in the team roping, calf roping, you can make it up with your rope. Mm-hmm. There's no rope in the bulldogging. You gotta You got to score good, and you've got to catch up.
Yeah.
And that was a tough situation.
But 120 is long enough. That's
That's
how long my arena is going to be. They're building it.
For what?
Well, I'm not putting any rope in boxes.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
But in case somebody else wants to, I don't want it to be too small.
Yeah, well, it's too small. I hate to break it to you.
Is it?
Hell yeah. It's not even close. 200 is like minimum.
Minimum? Oh, well, then I'm not going to even get close to that. I don't have room.
Don't put rope in boxes. Unless you're going to have like a little mini NFR or something.
How long's the NFR?
160 maybe.
Really? That big? Wow. Maybe it's 120 right now. Yeah, I think it's 90 actually.
You got a buck out arena. Don't kid yourself.
Yes. Well, no, yeah, that's definitely what it is. Anyway, we're not going to make it. We're not. Hey, Bears, Bronx, Bulls, bullfighting. That's what we do in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll just go to Trevor's house.
Yeah, come on over.
Yeah, because you answer the phone every time I call.
100%.
Yeah.
My lessons have been non-existent ever since you put out a Netflix series and with me teaching you how to rope. And so that turned out well. So nobody else has came over.
Oh yeah. The calls were just rolling in, I'm sure. Yeah. You're welcome to have something to blame it on.
Yeah. Thanks.
If you order food standing up, are you going to tip?
I mean, if I go up there, like, are we talking fast food?
Wherever.
Yeah, no.
No?
No.
They turn the deal around.
Yeah,
you
no.
go to pay, you're hitting no tip. Really?
I'm hitting reality check.
Okay.
Yeah.
See,
like that tip is like, what does it mean? Above and beyond. Nobody went above and beyond.
But, so I've been asking people this, and the more I think about it, at a restaurant you sit down at, you tip for what they have done. You're standing up, they're about to touch your food.
Oh, I know. I mean, I get it.
So maybe seeing that tip is like, you know what? I don't know. That's just a thought. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not trying. There's no wrong answer.
I do think they turn it around too much, in my opinion. Like, I love to give a good tip because I love good service. Like that.
What's a good tip for you, percentage wise?
I mean, like if somebody goes above and beyond,
right?
I'll tip with the meal cost.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Like to me, I just want to encourage somebody busting their butt.
Right.
You know, but I just, if somebody's average, it's hard. I tip at a restaurant no matter what.
Yeah.
But 15% if they're average.
Yeah. I can get down with that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like but I mean, I'm pulling for them. I want them to be better.
Yeah.
But some people don't. You can't help some people.
You can't help some people.
And what are you going to do? Give them a false confidence with a good
like
tip?
My dad.
I hate to tell him he's doing a good job when he's not, because then he's going to get really let down when the next guy is real with him.
Yeah, that's true. Might as well get real right now.
Yeah.
Tell me about your most redneck relative.
Let's not talk about relatives.
You were thinking of Tough. I know it.
Yeah, Tough.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could win anything. Probably. My dad's family's from Arkansas. But.
There you go. What's the wildest animal you could domesticate?
Zebra.
Have you worked around zebras?
Nope. But sounds better than riding a lion.
Yeah. Because our last podcast guest said zebra, and people attacked him in the comments, saying that zebras are like lions.
Oh yeah, no, I've heard that, but I mean, they're the most like a horse of anything else out in the Sahara. I mean
yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
Like that's why I gave an answer. So I don't want to hear it in the comments.
Yeah, you bet.
Go write a line.
Yeah, y'all don't bash them in the comments. Don't worry. Nobody. We don't have any haters.
Hey, you talk about hate. Like, I very rarely post on social media.
I've noticed.
I mean, very rarely. And so one day, somebody comes and tries a horse, and they rent a Tesla truck at the airport or Turo or whatever, however they rented it. But anyway, they show up there, and I was like, man, that's pretty spacey looking. And we went and ate, and when they came back, I said, pull him back up to that trailer. I just want to see what it looks like. And so I take a picture and tag my trailer company. I'm thinking it'll get some looks.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. People thought that it was mine. I was rodeoing out of it. I mean, I was like, this dude rented it, came by my house. We went and ate, and we're both gasoline burning.
Yeah.
Cowboys.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there ain't no way that pulls a trailer and people just be like, man, we thought we knew you. I'm like,
we thought we knew you. I miss the old Trevor.
Obviously you don't.
I miss the old
it's not
Trevor.
mine.
Yeah. I miss the old Trevor.
Yeah.
So that's why you don't post.
Yeah. I'm just like, and somebody said the one time you do post, like, you're never going to post again. Yeah.
I'm sure the people that do know you, Patrick, they all appreciated it and then liked it and went on.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, what's the most redneck upgrade you've made to a car or truck?
Redneck upgrade. Oh, I mean, it's a turbo redneck.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. That, and I'm going to have a magnet to stick my phone to.
Okay. Yeah. That's not very redneck.
Nah. But it looks bad.
This isn't on this list, but I just remembered it. All this work with your roping career, do you have another level of confidence that you ride into the Brandon pin with?
100%.
Yeah. It's just like,
yeah.
Do you get invited to a lot of them?
I did. That's just spring. I love to do it.
Yeah.
I love going. It's just finding time, man.
Right.
But no, I love going. Even when the kids were just old enough, I made time. I guess it's just I haven't made time. But yeah, no, I love gathering when the kids go. But it is nerve-wracking when everybody is like, you're the next one over, and you're sending them through there on pony and some hairy situations as far as like terrain.
Yeah. But I mean, I can just imagine, like, probably not a lot of people want to rope after you in the Brandon pin. You know what? Why don't you just keep going, bro? I'll just flank.
Oh, that's fun. It's fun.
Yeah. That was just what is the...
I don't mind being on the ground crew either. Like, I like everything about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you go over to with Strand and them?
I haven't been to Strand's Brandon. Cliff and Tuff go out there. But there are always, and they're doing, like, that's where they do a lot of their photo shoots for their outerwear stuff. And I've got different outerwear companies, so I would just screw up their brand.
Gotcha. You got a magic styrofoam cooler that refills with one drink. What is it?
Water, I guess.
These are very important questions, and your answers are underwhelming.
I know, they are.
Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck? This is important.
Say that again.
100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck. The people want to know.
Man, I'm going to say a horse-sized duck's scary. I'm going to go the other.
Do you think you could rob a bank successfully, and how would you do it?
Yes, and fast.
Fast. Those hands are fast. That's true. One TV show that you could step in and play the main character for.
Suits.
Oh, I love Suits.
I just started watching it. I was like, that dude's slick.
What season are you on?
No, we just started watching it like 2 days ago. Yeah.
Season 1. It's a
Bad to the Bone show.
I binged. I'm on season 1, episode 1.
Okay.
Or no, episode 2 now.
Gotcha. Yeah. You want to be Harvey. Yeah. Yeah, I could see like a level of Harvey in Trevor. Yeah. I love that show.
When I don't want to be humble, I'll be Harvey.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
He's good at that.
Y'all got something against AC and Newcastle?
Usually they turn it on before it shuts off automatically at 5. Like, hey, we're not trying to.
At 500 or 5?
5 o'clock.
Oh.
It's not that hot.
Are you kidding me right now?
The control panel is in his office.
It's not that hot.
It's stinking hot.
I just thought you were nervous, as red as you
Holy moly.
were. What's the biggest animal you could take in a fight? Donnie turned it on for you.
Yeah. Might have been that duck-sized horse till I got scared of it a while ago.
We're getting down.
Horse-sized duck.
There you go. Did you hear it kick on? You happy?
Thank you. Golly.
All this stuff about
was like-
work ethic and she's riding horses out in the
You got a
heat.
powder crew?
Dang, it's 75 degrees in here, and that's not,
What was it really?
he needs it a toasty, a crisp 68.
What was it?
He's gotten all fancy.
80 what? Golly. But that's not what these things.
The thermostat's in there. Yeah.
No.
He's gotten all fancy on us, folks. He's complaining about
We're
70.
80 right here.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
What's the biggest animal you could take in a fight?
I just said.
Oh yeah,
I'd go ahead and try the
horse-sized
duck.
Okay. What is some life advice? This is how we wrap them up. That has stuck with you through it all, whether it's a one-liner or you need to paraphrase something, but just something you always come back to.
Some life advice.
Yeah.
I already said that one that was just ingrained in me is not take anything for granted, and I think that can be pretty well life and everything.
Yeah.
And we already talked about be grateful. Just an attitude of gratitude, man. That's a paradigm shift that changed your life.
I got a text from a friend. He's got cancer and he's wanting me to take over his business and add it to mine. And we've been trying to connect on the phone. And anyway, it was right before this podcast. He said, can you talk? And I said, about to start a podcast.
Really nervous. Go ahead.
Can I call you tomorrow morning? And he said, yes, please do. I know you're busy and don't have a lot of time. That's something we now have in common. And so I called him immediately. You know, he was like, sorry, I wasn't trying to. I was like, no, I'm glad you sent that to me. But it was, I just had to share it with somebody and it just happened. But what you said made me think about it as far as like not taking anything for granted. I imagine though you've gotten a lot better at saying. That made me think about my schedule, like with him and like with my schedule. Like you've probably gotten a lot better at saying no to things. I know you're good at saying no to me.
Yeah, some things are hard though.
Yeah,
not your, but some things are hard to. But I think I've taken it to the extreme, and I've got to get better at it.
Saying no to things.
No,
Taking what to the extreme?
I was so busy for so long, like just like I felt like I was just going one thing to the next, and like I wanted to make sure that I was making time for the things that mattered.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that I had balance, because it's that song "Slow Fade."
Mm-hmm.
You know, nothing happens like fast that you're like, oh, I gotta fix this. You know, before long, you've came here and had no time for something, but it was a slow fade.
Yeah.
I think Casting Crowns sings it. It's pretty good, and you check it out. But I wanted to make sure I had balance for my family and for everything like that, because I felt like I was just one thing to the next to the next. And then now, since I retired and I did say no, I feel like I got a little bit secluded because I did enjoy being by myself, not by myself, but with my family, and I want to make more time for like rodeo related stuff, because I always want to make sure that I promote the sport that built me. You know what I mean? And so
what's your vision as far as like where you will spend your time outside of Relentless and the Remuda stuff?
Well, I was like I said, coming off shoulder surgery, and so like Miles has been working his butt off, and so I want to make sure I'm getting back after it, you know. And so then figuring out my summer hours are different than, you know, winter, because you can't ride during the day, you know, so you got to be done by noon, you know, or 11's better, 10's even better than that. But to fit that much in there and do a quality job, you know, teaching those horses, you got to start early. And then the summer hours change, and as soon as you get into one of those, and like tonight, we've got fireworks, you know, big fireworks deal at the church. But I've also got talking to Prefect Junior Elite team at the same time. So I'll have to step away from the family deal and go do this. Right. But I mean, it's for good trade-offs, you know. I mean, like, I want to make sure I'm still sowing into the youth, because that's our future too, you know. So I have enjoyed being around, you know, my kids' activities and them get to do their things instead, because they did everything with me. You know what I'm saying? And I wanted them to have their time and me to be the same support system to them that they were to me. Yeah. You know, and my wife. And that's been fun to watch, and it gets selfish with your time because you don't want to miss any of that.
Is Shatter going to go back out there now that she got any aspirations?
Oh, no.
Not really.
She when she made the finals that one year, she's like, I'm telling you, it was cool to watch, because she really didn't grow up rodeoing. And when she said she wanted to do it, I was like, man, these girls have done this their whole life, and it is their life. And and I felt bad, because I was like, man, I don't know that I really injected the confidence in there that I needed to, but I always wanted to prepare, because I knew how, you know, devoted these women had been to this sport. And man, when she did it, she's like, man, that was amazing. She made the finals in 2013, and it was one of the coolest experiences ever, being at the NFR with her and her brothers and everything, all the family. And but she's like, it was worth the sacrifices, but I wouldn't sacrifice that again. You know, I've done it.
Well, thanks for coming on, Rodeo's finest and guest. Today it's been Trevor Brazile. Check him out. Don't throw too many rocks if he posts his Tesla.
No, I do not have a Tesla. Don't even start with that.
He drove his Tesla here. So like to think him and Elon are boys. So all electric, baby. Yeah. But no, thanks for coming on, and we'll chop this up and make me look like a hero, and make you look like, you know, number
me
2.
And Patrick.
Yeah.
We're still like this.
Yeah.
That's me on top.
All right, Patrick, you're going to have to come on and rebuttal all this one day. So I'm Dale Brisby. Rodeo time, old son. On to the next one.